tuned. The show is about to begin. Stay tuned. The show is about to begin. Stay tuned. The show is about to begin. Stay tuned. The show is about to begin.
Camera button. There should be a camera button. There we go.
There we go.
All right, cool. Now let me shut this weight bot off. Music. There we go. Mute your microphone. All right, cool.
Hey,
Welcome,
so good to
Tiffany.
see you.
What's happening?
So happy to be here.
Yeah, listen, we got to start this show. We're broadcasting live on YouTube as well as Fireside. I just set this up today. So this is the first time that we're broadcasting live on YouTube as well. I'm going to work on the YouTube channel. Besides my content that I'm pushing out, I want to bring the What Are You Made Of show here to YouTube as well, besides Fireside. Welcome, Tiffany. You can ask questions if you want to, but I'm doing this a little differently. I used to have like a point in the beginning of the show where I would like prep the guests and all that, but we ain't doing that anymore. We're just going to jump right into it. So you're going to have
I'm
to
here for
adapt.
it. Let's go.
Yeah, and look, I got your bio here. I'm going to ask you, after I read this bio to you, what are you made of? So I'm going to give you a few seconds here to prepare for that answer. This show is all about the ingredients that have gone into making my guests who they are, and not just the successes, because the successes are like highlights, but really we want to know the ingredients that have gone into making you who you are, what caused maybe sleepless nights, how'd you overcome some of the adversities, all the stuff that goes into success that's most of the time invisible. Okay, so that's what this is all about. By the way, guys, I want to welcome everyone to the What Are You Made Of show here on Fireside and now YouTube Live on Mike C-Roc Scirocco channel. It's a pleasure to have you all here. If you're watching live, if you're watching the replay, thank you. I appreciate the support that you bring to the show. We're on, I don't even know what episode, like we got to be close to 600 episodes now. I personally have been on over 900 podcasts in the last 3.5 years, making it happen. I'm out here poolside. I'm going to turn this around just so everybody can see for a second. Out here poolside, it's still like 85 degrees here in Maryland. I'm going to take advantage of it and not sit in the studio until I have to. And so that's what we're doing. But we have Tiffany Taylor here today. She's a coach, a master NLP mindset coach who specializes in brain-based personal and business transformations for leaders. She is in South Florida rocking it. She is an awesome connector too, because she's already introducing me to people. And I had a call with someone today that she introduced me to. Welcome to the show, Tiffany.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me. I love to see you connected. That's great.
Yeah, listen, I'm a master connector. So the fact that you started first with me, helping me, you're gonna really get it. I'm just gonna tell you that. So, but look, we start the show the same way every time, and that's with the question: what are you made of?
What am I made of? If I were to put a few ingredients together, the first thing would be faith. The second thing would be resilience. The third thing would be hope, and the fourth thing would be love.
Faith, hope, and love are some good things, but the greatest is love. Isn't that something? A song? I think that's a church song.
Absolutely. Radical faith, crazy faith.
Yeah.
And that steadfast love too.
Okay, well, I love that. Let's dig deeper here because, I'm a big guy on definitions of words, and I don't know that faith itself is good enough. So I want to get some of this from you. Faith in what is important? And
yes.
So let's talk about that.
Faith in God. I think, and I love that you highlighted that because it's true. Faith linguistically needs something. It's only as strong as whatever you put it in. Faith alone doesn't mean anything, right? You need something to believe in. For me, it's faith in God. I'm a woman of faith. I'm Christian, and that has gotten me through some really hard times. And I see the transformations in my work as well and when it's done for others. I love hearing people's testimonies, and it's amazing what some faith can do. And what I've learned through this work as well is that you need hope sometimes in order to carry you to where you can find your faith. And that's why
I love it. Because I say quitting isn't a bad thing. When I was using the same thing with faith or quitting I was just with faith. A lot of people see all this stuff on social media and they're like, don't quit, never quit. Don't be a quitter. I tell people to be a quitter. Quit when it's on the right thing. Yeah. Because if you never quit, you get stuck in something that's not working and you're stuck in that thing and then you're frustrated and you're like, this doesn't work. I don't know what to do. I'm not a quitter. If I'm drinking too much and I'm acting like an asshole when I go out and drink, I apologize for cussing. I'm Christian too, but this is my vice.
Your show.
But if I'm acting like an asshole because I'm drinking too much, am I not going to be quitting drinking because I'm not a quitter? So there's things that are said on social media. A lot of people get so sucked into these sayings and things, and I want to wake people up to that. So I'm glad you brought those things up that you're made out of, and hope in what? What are you hopeful for?
Hopeful for a positive future. Hopeful that God's going to take everything and use it for good. And I was really hopeful before I even found my faith that there had to be something good that would come out of all of the chaos. I was like, there has to be another side to this. There has to be a light at the end of the tunnel. And even if I couldn't see it for myself, I could see others found it. And so holding on to that hope is what allowed me to get to a place where I could find faith.
Where did it all start for you? What was growing up like? Where did you grow up? And then where did you start really feeling like you faced adversity?
Oh, man. So I was born in Fort Lauderdale. I was here till the age of 10, and then I moved over to North Georgia, maybe an hour outside of Atlanta. So I have a little bit of a Southern Belle thing going, but more the Florida accent. And I was raised with divorced parents, where I was constantly used as a pawn between in that divorce. They were in court for like 14 years, going back and forth, and it resulted in a lot of childhood trauma. A lot of trauma. I was in therapy for 12 years, and it didn't do a whole lot for me at the time. What I felt was that I just kept getting diagnosis after diagnosis for mental turmoil, and what I was told is that it is what it is. This is what you're going to deal with for the rest of your life. It's always going to be this way, and you can either take medication or you can just learn how to cope with this stuff. And so that actually set me up for my journey of, no, I don't identify with all these diagnoses. No, I don't believe I have to be this way forever. And I do believe in healing, and I'm going to find a way to make that happen.
So I can relate to that. I came from a broken home. Don't remember my parents ever together. Same thing, custody battles, child support, all that stuff. Then I don't know if you had it, but then you had step parents in the mix, and then they have other kids. And then were you the oldest? And if there are other kids?
Only child, and neither parent remarried.
Okay, gotcha. So you didn't experience that part. Okay, so you had the other part though, which is bad enough. And I went to child psychologist to see if I was mature enough to decide who I wanted to live with. Did you have to deal with that too?
Oh gosh, no. One of my parents actually lost visitation and custody 3 times, and then just kept going back and forth. So it was in Florida first. In Florida, they favor one parent over the other. So I actually never got really the choice. It was just based on family courts in Florida.
Yeah. So what about this part? What about the part as you were going through it, you felt it was ordinary?
I wouldn't say I ever felt like it was ordinary. I to be totally honest and vulnerable, I just wanted it to end. I was really happy I was an only child. I wouldn't wish my childhood on anyone else. For a long time, I never even wanted to be a parent. I was like, I'll never get married, and I never want to have kids because I never want to bring anyone else into this world. And for a long time, especially like in my teenage years, I was suicidal. I was incredibly depressed. I was suicidal, and I wanted it to end. I really wanted it to end. And therapy helped me through that part to find a little bit of hope again. And then I was able to be reconnected to my faith. And now I'm so grateful I can share from the other side that it's really beautiful. And if you stick around long enough, you get an amazing view. I don't know if it'll show. Usually I don't have the frame. There we go. If you stick around long enough, you can see that it's all worth it. And then it's actually going to be used to help others in the journey as well.
Yeah, I love that, man. So when I said that ordinary thing, like when I was going through it, it felt like, oh, this is what you're supposed to deal with. Like I just didn't know any different. Until I saw some contrasts with other families. I'd go to hang out with my friends and their families seemed different. And I was like, oh, now I had the contrast. Then I was like, I got to get the hell out of here. So, yeah, so a different journey, but still, I didn't know if you ever had that feeling where it felt like, oh, this is the way it's supposed to be. I guess I got to just figure it out and deal with it. But
so I guess I had more of a polarity because one parent was very abusive and the other was more nurturing. And so I constantly knew like this was all was happening. And then I would go back to their parent and was told like, this is not normal. This is not okay. And then like, you're going to be okay, but then you have to keep going back. And then it was just so how like this back and forth of like living in 2 different worlds.
When you started to realize like, oh, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I just got to keep pushing forward and I got to handle some business.
When I was 15, I got my first job to start helping family buy groceries. And I'm so blessed. I started working at a Chick-fil-A, actually. Chick-fil-A is a Christian company, for those of you who don't know. And the owner-operator of that restaurant was a beautiful family of 4. They started taking me to church with them, with my mom's permission. And I started going to their family brunch after the church. And I started, for the first time, to see a really healthy, like, functioning family unit that was all together. And this was just, like, bending to me. I was like, wait a minute. I thought all families are dysfunctional at some level, and to see just this beautiful, healthy family unit. I mean, this was over a decade ago. I'm actually still really good friends with this family, and I go to their family reunion every 4th of July. And I can tell you, if it wasn't for them taking me to church, even when I didn't really believe, I still kept going back anyways. That's where I really got reconnected to my faith.
And then when did you really like, what's your testimony as far as like accepting Christ in your heart? Like how old were you then? And do you have a story behind that?
I have a big story around that. So I started going to church and I started finding faith, but I was hot and cold and I was 1 foot in and 1 foot out. And it was very much like, okay, have you seen the Wheel of Life, they teach in coaching. Have you seen this? For those of you who haven't seen it that are watching, it's like this big circle and you make a pie chart of your life and you have like the 8 to 10 different areas of life. You have finance and fitness and health and relationships. And they always put one little slice of your pie is faith and spirituality. And so because I was exposed to that wheel of life, I just assumed that, you know, spirituality is like this little pie and I have just little piece here and I'm going to keep it all compartmentalized and separate. So I was like, I'll go to church on Sundays, but my business is different, but like work is different, but like my relationships are outside of that. And I was moving around a lot as well. I traveled through 36 countries within a span of like 6 years. So when I moved back to the States, I really enjoyed going to church. And I would say maybe a year ago is when I decided, okay, I'm going to give my life to Christ. But I didn't get baptized yet. In my opinion, I was like, it's just a formality. I've already given my life to Christ. Like I already know what I'm doing. I've already aligned the business with my God-given purpose and let go of anything that's not serving me. I've already realigned all of my friendships and the romance side of my life. I've already realigned all of that and surrendered all of it. But then when I got baptized maybe 6 months ago, my whole life changed. I thought it was just a formality. It is absolutely not. That is such a marking moment for anyone to truly give their life to Christ. And that's my testimony. Ever since that happened, my business was completely turned upside down in the best of ways to be even more aligned, to allow me to serve even more people. The clients I'm serving are just totally different than my business before. And just everything is thriving in a way I didn't know it could. And it's just been it's feeling so in flow. And I've been so excited because everyone's asking what's different about you. Like, you're glowing a little different. You're a little bit happier. You're looking healthier. And I'm like, yeah, it's the church glow. Go 7 days a week.
That's awesome. So when this happened, well, I got a few questions. So first of all, what struggles were you having in your business prior? Like what challenges and like what were the ones that just like kind of disappeared or handled themselves?
Good question. So I have 2 businesses. I have a personal branding agency, like a boutique creative agency. And then I also have the coaching side. I got really excited with branding because I have a creative outlet. And so I made that the main focus in my business, knowing full well that my God-given purpose is around coaching. Coaching and speaking is my perfect purpose. And that was made very clear to me when I had a motorcycle accident and a near-death experience about 2 years ago. It was just the clearest thing that was given to me in that experience. And when I started focusing on branding, all of a sudden I felt like I had to work really hard. I felt like I was working double what I was the year prior, and the income was not close to what it was. And I couldn't understand why I was just doing so much heavy lifting and just not seeing as much results. It felt like really big work. And then when I surrendered my business, which is very difficult for me to do, if I'm being honest, the biggest thing that came to me was like, your purpose is in coaching and I'm going to support you there. And you have free will and you can build your branding agency and you don't have to give that up. But I'm not a partner in that business. I'm a partner in your coaching business. I really want you to focus there. And when I really leaned into that and I really surrendered to that and prayed over it and I started getting back into coaching, the challenge of working too hard, not seeing results disappeared. The new challenge that was given is I have over 55 applications to work with me one-on-one right now. I cannot take that many sales calls. I cannot take that many one-on-one clients. And so I'm having to open up group programs in order to support the influx of inbound leads that are coming to me. So good challenges.
Let's talk about that then. So what do you do for your clients? What is the main thing you do for them? What would you?
So what I love about one-on-one coaching is it's different for every single person in terms of what is the result you want to see. It's very much what identity do you want to step into? What do you want to leave behind? What do you want to release? And how do you want to show up? Like, what does the healed version of you look like? So it's different for everyone. I know that's not the answer you want. But for example, I do what's called VIP days with my clients. This is 5 to 7 hours of coaching all at once. And only a master coach is qualified to do something like that. In that time, releasing the main core human emotions. So any programming around anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt. And this is restoring the subconscious, releasing their emotions. A lot of my clients have said it feels like they lose 10, 20, 30 pounds in just that alone. The next thing we do is we take that knife of discernment and we find out what is the truth about them and what are the lies about them that they've been believing. So in the coaching world, this is called limiting decisions and limiting beliefs. We get rid of this. The next thing we do is what's called parts integration. Are you familiar with parts work?
No.
No. So when someone experiences trauma or a significant emotional event in life, sometimes their subconscious will split their identity into 2 or more parts. And both of those parts have an intention to help that person in a positive way. So maybe this part doesn't want to work because it's terrified of the burnout it's already experienced. And this part is really ambitious and wants to get all the work done. If you have this tug of war inside of you, you're going to end up spinning out or not really getting anywhere because you're just going back and forth. With a parts integration, we integrate those 2, we bring it to your heart space, and then you don't have that tug of war anymore. And then you can look at what are the behaviors you want to change, what are the habits you want to change, and we program that at a subconscious level. So the results, I don't know, one of my clients' wives just called me this morning saying, thank you so much. They just sent me 8 referrals, and she just signed up as well. She goes, I don't even recognize my husband. I thought the change would be gradual because that's what we're always taught. She goes, he changed in a day, like from unorganized schedule, not waking up, sometimes missing things, to he's awake before me, he's on a routine that he hasn't had in years, and it's extremely consistent. It doesn't make sense. So those are the VIP days for coaching.
Yeah. So what you're talking about with the parts is being stuck in a maybe and indecision. And that's because of those 2 warring things. And maybe is nowhere to be stuck in. Maybe gets you stuck and you're just paralyzed. And then when you're getting rid of the maybe, you're basically making them together, but making a decision, move one way or the other, right? And then generally the decision is to go in the direction of where you want to be, who you want to be, what you want to be doing, all of that. Is that correct? Basically what you're doing with the parts?
It's more of like an inner war that would happen. So if you decide, you can decide consciously to go all in on your goals and 10x life and all of these things. And a part of you out of protection will say, it's not safe to grow. It's not safe to work all those hours and hustle. And so the way it'll show up for you is procrastinating, perfectionism, self-sabotaging behaviors. And we wonder why that's happening. So on the identity level and the subconscious level, it's because there's a part that's been separated. It's part of your identity. And so what we don't want to do is choose one or the other, because we're choosing either we're going to completely disregard that protection mechanism that's there to save us and hold us safe, or we're going to completely disregard our ambitions. The goal is to get both of these sides in communication with each other and see, in the example I gave, you can work hard and be on mission and be on purpose and not have to burn out. And that you can do that safely. And so to get both of these parts to work together in your best interest so that there's no divide anymore. So it's more of an integration rather than a choice.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I experience this a lot and I'm aware of it, where I just feel like I want to do so much and I have this big vision and that I need to do more work to get it going faster, to get there faster. When that's not always the case. Working harder and grinding is not always the answer. It's a lot of times it's quality. It's knowing something. Maybe you don't know something. There's all kinds of different things there. But I love that you're doing that for people. It makes a huge difference in people's lives because when they go home miserable because they're frustrated and anxious, it just affects the whole family. And what happens is it expands outward and affects their environments that they go into, whether it's school, the kids going to school, sports, the wife or the husband's business, and it starts to expand outward and really have an exponential effect negatively. And what you're doing is very positive in an exponential way as well. So I love what you're doing. Can you explain to me NLP? I understand, but the people that are listening may not know what that is and how that works. And, is there any negative to it?
Absolutely. So NLP is a tool. And it's short for neuro-linguistic programming. And NLP is actually just communication modeling. They've looked at some of the most successful high performers in business, athletes, the top therapists. They get the best results in their clients. And they actually spent decades studying their language patterns, the way they speak to themselves, the way they speak to others. And what they learned is that you can actually map the structure of your mind by just using your language alone. So in the old way of thinking, we would think that our words describe the world around us. And in reality, the words that you use, you have to be so careful with because it actually defines your perception of the world in a really big way. And so this is where, example, limiting beliefs, that term's become really normalized as well, because when you have a belief, it's like a film that covers your eyes. That's a lens you look at the world through. And if you're not aware that it's a lens, you will spend your whole time thinking that, oh my God, the world is pink, or oh my God, the world is red, because you never had another lens to look through. So it's really using linguistic patterns to see where is someone getting stuck. Where are they limiting themselves, and how do we unlock their potential and get them to success in all areas of life, depending on how they define it for themselves. And with cons and negatives, like pros and cons, yes. NLP is communication modeling. So there's people who use NLP every day. They don't know what NLP is. And I say that because it's a language pattern. We all use different language patterns because we learn language from each other. So someone in sales may have never heard of NLP, but they might be using it because it's just certain sentences and question patterns. So pros and cons, yes, I've seen it used in sales in a negative way, but I've seen it used in a really positive way with like emotional release work and helping people unleash themselves as well.
So is it what you say to your clients, or is it what you get your clients to start saying?
So it can be both. It can be both, and it depends on the result. So NLP is, I'll show you right here, there's textbooks.
Yeah, I mean, like,
it's not just a concept. One of the questions I'm asked is like, oh, I want to learn about NLP. Like, what's the best book I should read? And it's like, you can understand it conceptually, but it's literal like textbooks, like thick textbooks that take hundreds of hours to study. And it's hundreds of techniques and linguistic patterns you can use to help someone get unstuck. So it's not just the concept. I think that's really important to know. And sorry, what was the other question?
I forget. I think I asked, so thick textbooks, lots of textbooks.
But something to get them to say themselves, I think is your question.
Yeah. Or if it's specifics, like what?
Yeah, so it just depends on the technique, and the technique depends on the result someone wants to get. What I love about coaching is this. I can tell someone what their problem is, and I can give them the solution, or I can give advice. But as soon as I give someone advice, they get to decide if they're going to accept that advice or if they're going to reject that advice. And if they reject it, I've just now really hurt that person. And so what I love about coaching is that you don't give advice. You ask questions in a pattern that helps someone see what the problem is on their own, and then find their own result and find their own solution. And when you ask questions in that way, my clients think, I just had the best idea ever. I just realized something, and like, amazing. I had to engineer a pattern of questioning or use linguistic tools to help you get there. But because I got you there and because it was your idea, you're not going to reject that now. Now you get to own that. It's your breakthrough. You get credit for it, and now you get to live with that breakthrough.
Gotcha. Okay. And well, this is words, right? But doesn't it start with what you think and how you think? And then that leads to the words you speak?
So I would love to think that. However, so NLP communication modeling starts like this. Everyone wants to change their behavior. But when you try to change a habit, most people drop off of that pretty quick. And that's because your feelings are what drives your behavior. You go to do something, set a new habit, you want to go to the gym and you don't feel like it. All of a sudden you're trying to build that habit, it doesn't happen. And it's your thoughts that create those feelings. Now, if you change your thoughts, you're talking about things like positive affirmations. I'm going to go to the gym every day. I'm the kind of person that goes to the gym every day. But if you don't have the beliefs, the conscious and the subconscious beliefs that you are the identity of the person who holds those thoughts, you'll continue to have thoughts that are not supporting the behavior change you want to have. So it actually starts at the belief level. And the reason we don't have an awareness of this is because that's all subconscious, and most people aren't aware of what their beliefs are.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's true. Okay, I see that. So then on growing up the way you grew up and going through those stages, how has that affected you? Because you mentioned the word romance or romantically in relationships and all that. What kind of like hurdles have you had to deal with that? And then now that you've gone through and had the transformation, accepted Jesus in your heart now and going forward, what are you seeing differently now? And especially in South Florida, because it's a different market than a lot of the United States.
Well, you know what's so crazy is I have a crazy story for you around this, like crazy testimony. So I struggled to surrender the relationship part of my life because I was like, oh my gosh, if I want this, this, and this, like there's only like this percentage of people that would fit what I'm looking for. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to take a lot of time. And so I felt like I needed a sense of control. So I was on dating apps and I was trying to go on dates and I was looking around and I realized, I was like, wait a minute. If God created me and he created someone for me and he controls all things, he can introduce me whenever he thinks I'm ready. And so if he hasn't introduced me to that person, then I'm not ready. And so maybe instead of trying to date, I should just focus on who he wants me to become and allow him to prepare my heart so that I'm ready when that time comes. And so I said I'm going to delete the dating apps, and I didn't. And then I said I was going to delete the dating apps, and I didn't. And I was like, I'm not all in on this. And I was like, you know what? Got to give it to you. I surrender. I don't need to date. If you haven't introduced me to anyone, then this clearly is not a season that's meant for dating right now. So I deleted all dating apps. Anyone who I was kind of sort of seeing or would have gone on a date with, I just said, you know, I'm actually not in a season of dating right now. And I just told everyone I'm just not interested. And I was just going to honor that season. And maybe like 7 to 10 days later, I met my now boyfriend who I've been with for 5 months. And it's just, it's funny. It's funny because I met him, I'm like, no, I don't want to like anyone now. And he's just such an amazing man of God. And this is the healthiest, happiest relationship I've ever been in. And it's just such a testimony because I could not, that's not something you can just go on a dating app and find. You know what I mean? And it's just so crazy that we even met.
Well, but so I've been married 20 years, been with my wife since right before September 11th happened in 2001. So what, 22 years now? Something like that. It's crazy. It's flown by. And, you know, I'm just so absolutely blessed. I had the best wife in the world. But no offense to the other ladies out there that are being good wives and all that. I just had the best. I don't know what to tell you. So I've been blessed. But they didn't have dating apps when I was dating. Then I don't even know what all this does. Like I can't even wrap my head around it. But my question though is like, well, first of all, I want to hear how you met him, but also like, don't you think also that those are tools to extrovert, to meet more people so that you have the opportunity? Yeah. So start, but like, how did you meet him?
They could be tools. And I've seen people who met their spouses on there and it's not against them. I think it's the intention. And is it like, are you trusting God all the way or are you trying to take things into your own hands? And for me, I realized for me, it was distrust. I was on an app because I didn't trust that God would introduce me to the right person at the right time. And I have a biological clock and like all these things you hear on social media.
You were using it as like an Amazon for shopping for men instead of
not even because I wasn't even really going on dates. I wasn't even interested. Like there was no one that was interesting to me. So it wasn't even that.
How does it work like for girls when you go on there? Because I've never been on them. Do you have like I'm trying to think about like if you want a puppy and you go on and say, okay, I want a Cavachon and I want it to look like this and I want it to look like that. Do they have like filters? And then you filter the people that you're I don't know how this works.
You can filter on age, religion, and I think intention on some of them too. They change so frequently.
Gotcha. Okay.
So you can have some filters, but it's mostly just finding people who are in your area.
Okay, gotcha. And then you just meet them or whatever, see how it goes. So then you cut that off. So how did you meet?
At the gym. And here's what's crazy. So, and I know we're talking about it on like any podcast or anything, so this is fun. But we actually both lived in Thailand on the same island. We went to the same gym. We went to the same restaurants every day. We had the same friends and we didn't meet. We found each other in social media like a month after he moved to Miami and I stayed in Thailand. And this was during the pandemic, so we lost touch. We unfollowed each other, whatever happened, because we never met. And then they were like in 3 different ways we were about to meet. Like a friend of ours just moved in town from Thailand. She moved to Miami and we were the only other friends that she knew in Miami. And then like we were both invited to the same event. We didn't realize it until after we started talking and we're like, oh wait, we were both invited to this. And then I went to the gym and then he ended up being the coach for Muay Thai, which is my favorite sport in the whole world. And I'm like, what are the chances? So we just started bumping into each other and I'm like, this is very interesting.
So wild. I mean, like all that lined up and you never met each other before this. And then now you have, maybe you guys weren't ready or weren't prepared at the time, whatever the case is, but it's pretty cool how that happens. So Tiffany, listen, what's the vision for the future now? Like, what are you really trying to make happen? Like right now, like, I know it's God's plan, but like, what do you know, obviously he puts thoughts in our head and visions in our head and we then go after them. Like, what is that? And then also how can people engage with you?
My heart right now is really just in service. How do I serve more people? I have all these applications come in. I can't take it. So I'm actually opening up 2 group coaching programs. One is for women and women's mindset and healing. And the other one is going to be a business accelerator. So it's NLP mindset for business owners who want to have their next breakthrough. So those are the new 2 programs I'm rolling out in the next month. And I'm really, really excited about it. And the best way to connect with me is on Instagram at Coach Tiffany Taylor. I'm on most social medias, but Instagram is my home. And yeah, I'd love to connect with your audience. I have a bunch of free resources and like mini courses that are available in a Facebook group if anyone wants that as well. You can just DM me group on Instagram and I'll make sure I send you that link. It's called Productivity Hacking for Entrepreneurs.
Go get it, guys. Go get it. Thank you so much, Tiffany, for being here on the What Are You Made Of show. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate you, and looking forward to working with you on some things in the future. And best of luck with everything that you're into. Guys, listen, I want to thank you for being here if you're watching live on YouTube or here on Fireside, or if you're watching the replay. Thank you so much. It means like the world to me that people support what we're doing here at the What Are You Made Of show and That One agency. Until next time, it's your boy C-Roc. Be that one. All right, that's it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank